Crossing over the border into Laos and into the small border town of Huai Zai, we get a tuk-tuk to the town centre and find an accommodation. Then we had dinner with someone that we just met on the journey from Chiang Rai. We then headed to a rooftop bar for drinks and sunset.
The reason we stayed overnight in Hoi Zai is because we're getting a train early today.
First, we have to get a 3-hour minivan to Luang to the train station. This is also where we got our first taste of the new currency, Laotian kip, where £1 is 27,000 kip, which means with 36 quid, you can be a millionaire in Laos.
As we passed through some local Lao villages, it became clear how undeveloped it is compared to Thailand. And the quality of the roads, wow. After a quick pit stop where we saw a baby monkey, we arrived at the train station.
The Lao-China Railway was built in 2001 to help China import more goods into Laos, but nowadays it's more commonly used for passengers by foreigners and locals.
As our train was announced, we shuffled through the crowds, feeling like giants amongst the short Lao people.
This will be a 2-hour journey through the Lao mountains to Luang Prabang.
Finally boarding the train and finding our seats, we had a pretty uncomfortable journey as a lady decided to rest her crusty toes against me. The Lao culture is definitely going to take some getting used to. Then, before we knew it, we arrived in Luang Prabang, where we hopped in a very sweaty minivan to our guest house. After dropping off our stuff, we headed down to the Mekong River to watch the sunset. And then we ended the day by exploring the local night market.
For our first day in Luang Prabang, we decided to have a yummy breakfast and then hire some bikes to explore.
We did have a 5-hour bike ride planned to go all around the mountains, but after about half an hour, the seat was just too uncomfortable. After walking most of the way back, pushing my bike, we finally made it and then we headed out for some bowling. Quite a strange bowling experience, as when we got there, it seemed completely shut down. So they had to turn the whole centre on just for us. After absolutely thrashing Tom in the first game, he decided he was going to try and win a second game by putting his shoes on. Do you think that's going to help?
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Oh.
A couple of games and 2 strikes later, we got a tuk-tuk back to our hotel, where we headed out to the restaurant for another sunset dinner.
Today, we head off to an adventure park. So after hiring a bike and quickly getting used to driving on the right-hand side of the road, we're on our way straight up into the mountains, where the roads, even by Laos standards, are pretty poor. Some of the roads actually being constructed while we drove on them. But on our little beaten up Honda Move, we made it. But that's when a storm rolled in and the rain started pouring down, and we decided the zip lining wouldn't be that much fun if you're slipping and sliding everywhere. So we jumped back on the bike and attempted to head back to town. With the rain making the roads even worse than they were before, it was starting to get quite dangerous. So we slowed all the way down to walking pace on the bike.
Good job we did, because shortly after, we had our first fall. Luckily, as we were going so slow and the ground was so soft, there were no injuries, just a very muddy coat. Although, the bike took a bit of a beating and Tom had to fix it with his shoelace. I didn't really fancy slipping off the bike again, so I decided I'd walk with the cows. After quite a long walk back down, we made it onto some more stable ground. After that pretty eventful afternoon, we treated ourselves to a curry.
This morning, we grabbed some food and headed for a picnic by the river. After a lovely picnic, we headed to the Ukso Museum. This museum explains why Laos is the most bombed country in the world. During the Vietnam War, Laos was seen as a supply line for the North Vietnamese communists, US's enemy. So with that, the US decided to drop 270 million bombs in Laos. These included general bombs, chemical bombs, and cluster bombs, which caused the most issues for Lao people. Cluster bombs explode above the ground and spread bommies over a large area. These bommies then explode further to cause disruption to the supply line. Unfortunately, about 30% or 80 million bommies remain unexploded. Where in remote villages and farmland in Laos, these unexploded bombs cause real issues. This causes so much of an issue, in fact, that Lao children are educated in school to not pick up and play with these bombs. The next stop is the Lao Cultural Centre, where we learn all about the different tribes in Laos. Then it's time to drop our bike off at our accommodation and head out for a night market dinner. Today, we jump on the bike and head to Quangzi Waterfall.
After battling our way through hundreds of buffalo, we made it. Then we got our tickets and jumped in the transfer to the entrance of the waterfall. Also included in the price of the ticket is entrance to the Moon Bear Sanctuary. These bears have all been rescued from the Chinese medicine industry, where they are kept in tiny cages and harvested for their bile. We then moved on to start our walk up to the big waterfall, seeing lots of beautiful tiny waterfalls along the way. Following a very sweaty hike through the jungle, we made it to this stunning waterfall.
Where I heard you can take a secret path on the right hand side to get all the way to the top. So, we began our hike. And after a very tiring hour's walk up, we made it to the very top of the waterfall. We then soaked in the views, did a bit of exploring and headed back down. This time on the other side, on the much more civilised stairs. Successfully making it back down, we jumped on the bike and headed to town, where we stocked up on snacks at the supermarket, had dinner, and then headed to Fuzi Hill for a sunset. Fuzi Hill is a popular tourist spot in Luang Prabang, but wow, we did not expect it to be this busy. But it's popular for good reason, the views here are stunning. And as the sun faded away, we made a new friend in Nampao, a 13-year-old girl who's teaching herself English by talking to tourists. Today, we jump on a tuk-tuk and head to the gym. And after Em almost losing her sunglasses, we made it. And judging by the state of these roads, I wasn't expecting much, but this gym was awesome. And after spending all day at the gym, we headed for dinner. Today is a travel day. First step, a truck drive to the minibus station. Then we jumped on the minibus for a 4-hour journey to Nong Khiaw.
This was a pretty bumpy journey and I managed to sleep for about 10 minutes before feeling like I was going to throw up. As usual, Tom managed to sleep for pretty much the whole journey as I feared for my life as a storm came in and we couldn't really see where we were going.
We then arrived at the minibus station, got a tuk-tuk to our accommodation and got absolutely drenched on the walk-in.
We then dropped off our bags at the accommodation and imagined what the views would be like without the rain. Hello! Headed for some dinner and then explored the town.
And then treated ourselves to a massage, which on the surface looked pretty sketchy, but it actually turned out really good. Today, we hike up to Vang viewpoint. So we arrived, paid the entrance fee and started walking. And less than half an hour in, we're already being attacked by mosquitoes. Plus the humidity, loose terrain, and abundance of other insects was making this hike a real challenge.
The amount of mosquitoes on this walk was absolutely unbearable, so I used my t-shirt to bat them away. A couple of tears and thousands of mosquito bites later, we finally reached the top.
Then we took some photos, had a drink, and headed back down through the mosquito-infested jungle.
Despite trying to be really careful on the way back down because it was so slippery, I still managed to slip over and really hurt my back. Now, in quite a lot of pain and still being bitten to death by mosquitoes, the tears really started flowing.
I'm very slow.
I was so scared of slipping again that Tom pretty much carried me back down the mountain and we finally made it to the bottom. Making it back down, just about, we started the walk back to the hotel, which felt so long.
Then, protected from the rain by our umbrellas, we decided to head out for dinner in our hotel as we couldn't face walking far again. We started our day off with breakfast at our accommodation. And when we got back to our room, we found evidence of a lot more uninvited guests. This has been an issue since we checked into this hotel, so we decided to check out and move to a different accommodation in Nong Khiaw.
What was meant to be about a 10-minute walk actually took about half an hour as I hobbled, but we finally make it to the new hotel.
This accommodation was cleaner, newer, and had a stunning view of the river.
A much more pleasant place for me to be stuck indoors over the next few days while my back recovers.
The plan was to get a takeaway tonight because Em was in so much pain. But seeing as we were in the middle of nowhere, that didn't work out. So, with him wrestling with painkillers, we headed out to a restaurant for dinner. Following a few days of being Em's carer, she insisted I headed out and explored. So, leaving Em behind, I began my hike up the tallest mountain in the area. This is Khiaw Mountain, a pretty much vertical 900 metre ascent. Quickly crossing the river at the start, I began on my walk. As this walk began to get more technical and difficult, it dawned on me the dangers of solo hiking, having not been on a solo hike in years because I've always had M. And as the humidity increased and I climbed further up, the mosquitoes swarmed. That's when I really started missing M. Now they only have one target to go for. Catching a glimpse of the top gave me a lot of hope. Until I read the sign, they said I was only halfway. Nevertheless, I carried on. Being hot and sweaty with really tired legs, I really thought about turning back. As I neared the top and the trees began to thin, the sun really started beating down, sapping up all my energy. Just a few hundred meters of steep bamboo ladders later, I made it to the top. Then it was time to head down again. This is my favourite bit. Note to self, never look down. Just scraping my feet for the 1000th time. This trail was so slippy on the way down. Before long I made it and was crossing back across the river to the start of the trail. Then it was just a 40-minute walk from the trail back to the hotel, where I got showered and changed and then we headed out for dinner.
After a few days of being trapped inside, I was excited to go and explore a nearby cave, where we bought our tickets and headed up the bank. But we got about 2 steps in and got absolutely attacked by mosquitoes. With not even the best mosquito spray helping, we decided to give the cave a miss. Now itching top to toe, we started our 30-minute walk back. We spent the rest of the afternoon at the hotel packing up our bags, as in the morning we head to Vieng. On the way out for dinner, we stopped at the shop to get some water, where they tried to charge a crazy price and just took the money right out of Tom's hand.
Whoa, no, too much, okay.
Today is a long old travel day to Vieng. First off, a tuk-tuk to the bus station. Then our worst minivan journey to date, with everyone on board apart from us throwing up into plastic bags. After a traumatic 3-hour minivan journey, we got on a tuk-tuk to the train station.
A 4-hour wait later, we hopped back on the Laos China Railway to Vieng.
Following a much more comfortable train journey, we arrived in Vieng and jumped in a tuk-tuk to our hotel.
Today, we hire a bike and just explore the Vieng area. In the evening we grabbed dinner and then treats herself to a pedicure. Today is the much anticipated hot air balloon day. We got picked up by minivan and dropped at the above Laos headquarters, where everyone was busy getting the balloons ready to launch. This is where everyone was split into groups, and Em and I were put by ourselves, so luckily we got our own hot air balloon. I really underestimated the size of these things. They are huge. Before long, we jumped aboard and it was time to go.
Every time, falling in the worst way. You give all my favorite colors a new meaning. Remember that time that I caught you laughing at words I didn't mean to say.
Following an amazing flight, it was time to land. We then watched them pack away the balloon and headed back to headquarters for a light breakfast. Then it was back to the hotel for a quick nap and then out again to explore. This time we head to Blue Lagoon 2 across some of the sketchiest bridges I've ever been on. This route also included a river crossing, which was quite the adventure. But eventually we made it to Blue Lagoon 2. Where I learned pretty quickly that acrobatics are not as easy as they look. Following a few hours messing around at the lagoon, we headed back to our hotel to rest for our walk tomorrow, but not before playing with this adorable little puppy. Today we head up to Nam Say viewpoint, the most popular viewpoint in Vang Vieng. So we arrived, paid our entrance fee and started to walk. And before long we were struggling in the midday heat. But a few bamboo ladders and a spot of rock climbing later, we made it to the top. Then we headed back down and got a cold drink at the bottom.
Then we headed back to the hotel to get changed to go to Blue Lagoon 1. This is the most touristy out of the 6 lagoons here, and it was so busy. But I didn't stop Tom practicing his flips. Then we headed back for some food and enjoyed watching all the hot air balloons out of our hotel window. Today we head to Blue Lagoon 3. And after another very dodgy river crossing, we arrived. This lagoon is much less touristy and so much fun. These zip wires provided hours of entertainment, definitely our favourite lagoon so far. After a really fun day at the lagoon, we started our journey back.
When we got back, we headed straight out to watch the sunset.
And I managed to lose my sunglasses at the lagoon, so we went to the local night market to see if I could pick up some new ones.
Back in our hotel room and trying to sleep, we were kept awake by the loudest storm we've ever heard.
Today, we're off to explore Jan Cave. A short bike journey and an interesting boat crossing later, we headed up the stairs to the cave. We explored the cave and headed back down, where we discovered this little lagoon at the bottom. Fully clothed but desperate to cool down, I dived in. Nice and cool, we headed back to the hotel for a pool day. And then headed out for another sunset dinner.
Today, we head on another walk to Silver Cliff Viewpoint. And before long, we were ducking and weaving to avoid these hairy black caterpillars. There were tons of mosquitoes on this walk, but luckily we came prepared and coated ourselves in mosquito repellent lotion before we started. This was only a short walk, but the slippery, sharp rocks are making it a lot more challenging. With just the final bit of rock climbing complete, we arrived at the top. Heading back down was a lot more sketchy, with every rock moving as you stepped on it. Arriving back at the bike, we headed to the hotel, where we can freshen up and go out for dinner. But when we left the hotel, we were greeted by a torrential storm, so we just picked the closest restaurant we could and went in. Today, after collecting our laundry, we head to another viewpoint. This time to Pa Hong Cam viewpoint. A pretty much vertical climb with an average gradient of 60 degrees. So we paid our entrance fee and got going. The steep steps carved into this mountain were really challenging in the heat. But the reward at the top was worth it.
and it was time to head back down.
On the way back, we noticed a cave and went in to explore.
The entrance was super narrow, but it opened up once you went inside. It's also so much cooler in here than outside. Lovely. There were small tunnels going off in all directions, but I didn't want to get lost, so I turned around and headed back out. Back at the hotel, we spent the rest of the day just enjoying the pool. Then we returned our motorbike and headed out for dinner. Today, we hire a speedy 4x4 buggy. This buggy was so much fun, and it was so nice to be on four wheels again.
But that's when disaster struck. I was taking a shot with my drone and managed to crash it into a tree.
The damage looked pretty bad, and I'll have to review it when we get back to the hotel. Continuing on with the road trip, the rain starts to come in. But regardless, we continue and get absolutely drenched. Hoping the rain will pass, we head back to Blue Lagoon 3. Which isn't really blue anymore, more of a brownish tinge. And, like all Laos rainstorms, it quickly passes and we get back on the zip wire. Then with our time on the buggy expiring soon, we headed back to the city and gave it some welly on these nice open roads. Then we returned the buggy and got back to the hotel.
This is where I inspected my drone a bit further. Looks like I'm going to have to bring it to a repair shop. Then we popped to the market and headed back to the hotel to pack our bags for our travel day tomorrow. Today we head to Vieng, the capital of Laos,
where we will be staying overnight and then catching a flight the next day to Cambodia. First step is sourcing a tuk-tuk to get to the train station. Arriving at the train station, we got through security and then waited for our train. Our train arrived exactly on time as per usual, and then we jumped on, heading to Vieng. We are really loving the trains in Laos, and they make for a much better alternative than the bumpy roads.
Arriving in Vieng, we then got a very hot and sweaty tuk-tuk to our accommodation.
Checked in and headed out for dinner.
For dinner, we had a stunning lasagna, a wonderful way to end our last full day in Laos. Today, we fly to Cambodia via a short stop in Bangkok. First, a taxi to the airport. We say goodbye to our bags as we now won't be seeing them until we land in Cambodia. Then we have a quick bit of food and head to our gate. Now boarding the plane, we can't wait to get back to Thailand, our second home. This flight is an hour and a half long and we'll have a 4-hour layover when we get to Bangkok. This flight was even shorter than we expected, and we managed to land 40 minutes ahead of schedule. I think the pilot must have taken a shortcut. Once through passport control, we did our first shop at 7-Eleven in over a month. Wow, I've missed it. Then going back through passport control to leave Thailand, we got some comfort food and then headed to our gate. Now boarding, we jumped on a shuttle bus to our plane.
Now seated and ready to take off, we head on a 1-hour flight to Siem Reap, Cambodia. Looking forward to see what another month of travelling brings us.